We continue learning Dirshu Mishnah Brura, the halachas of Zimun. We begin a new Siman, Siman Kov Sadi Gimel, the Siman in which the Mechaber coins im mitztarfin lezimun im laf, whether one is mitztaref to a zimun or not. Says the Mechaber in Siv Aleph, Shnayim shachlu, two people are eating afal b'sheberchas ha'moitzi. Even though one person patters another with his hamaitzi, mitzvah lachalik shevar kol echad berachas hamazon la'atzmai. And this is your classical Friday night Suda. Even though the Balabayis is mighty, everyone with the hamaitzi. However, says the Mechaber, still everyone should bench for himself. However, when is this? When they both know how to say berachas hamazon. However, if only one knows how to bench, and the second one does not know how to bench, the one who knows how to bench can be mavarech and be yotzei the other one. If he understands the words, he just doesn't know how to bench. And it's just important to know, even within the world of one being mighty someone else, there's important qualifications. You have to understand Lashon HaKodesh, and you have to be mechavin and listen to every single word. Says the Rama, and the one who's saying the words have to have in mind to be yotzi. If you're not having in mind, you're not yotzei by listening. So that's the halacha of two people eating. So let's begin, before we even get into the Zimun, let's begin by seeing the Mishnah Buras over here on this first part, which is what happens when we have two people eating together, in which the Mishnah Bura said, and which the Mechaber sort of was a makdim and taught us the halachas of being mighty, or the lack thereof, one to another in benching. Says the Mishnah Bura, Sivkat and Aleph, Poiter Echad es Chavero beberchas ha'moitzi, Ratza Leimer, Teba ha'moitzi. When it comes to the bracha of ha'moitzi, after lechatchila yachal kolach lotzis beberchas, even though we just finished saying, now when it comes to benching, we should not be mighty each other. However, when it comes to the bracha rishayna of hamaitzi, one is allowed to even lechatchila be mighty another one. However, when it comes to berachas hamazon, when it comes to benching, sivkat and beis, then it is a mitzvah lechalik. Kolaymar, what does this mean? Even though b'di'evet berachas hamazon, you are yotzei with your friend hamoitzi, if he's mighty, the appropriate thing is mitzvah lechalik, to not be mighty one another. What's this chilek? I don't understand. If I can be yotzei you in hamoitzi, I can be yotzei you in benching. What is the difference? Explains the Mishnah Brura, the difference is the at the beginning of the meal, when we are being kaiveya to bench together. If your mind is to be together. At the end of the meal, when everyone's going their separate ways, everyone should bench for themselves. Says Mishra, is another reason. Misham de berachas hamazon daraisech miruba. Benchings are daraisa, so we're more machmir. Says the Pri Megadim, the first reason is appropriate. Valkena, therefore, af im loy achal kedei sevia. So says the Pri Megadim, if the whole reason is a daraisa, so what happens when you're benching for non-daraisa, which is a case where one was not sevea, he was not full. So says the Pri Megadim, even if you're eating that you were not full, the chivurak midrabanan is still gam mitzvah lachalik avayir kolachal atzmai, because when you're benching, everyone is separating and going on their own ways. Echad yedei I've gotten gimel. So qualification number one for someone to be mighty you in benching is you have to know Lashon HaKodesh. Ein like a month Siv Kufsa design Siv Dalid b'mish na brura. Siv Kata and Dalid she'echavein lohitziyoi v'gam Hashem eya. And as well, the one listening, Sar she'echavein lotzeis. The one that's listening has to as well have in mind to be Yotzei. K'mo shekasa b'Siman Reishid Gimel Sif Gimel v'ayin ma shekesamnu sham Siv Katan hey Aval Einoi. If you didn't have in mind. Ulafizeh, says the Mishnah Berurah, what's the takeaway? The fact that number one, you have to know Hebrew, number two, you have to have in mind to be mechavein. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Ulafizeh, Nashim yivarcheu le'atzman. Women should bench to themselves. If you don't understand it, you should do it on your own. Says the Mishnah Berurah, there are those that hold Rashi and the Rimi Korbil, the Kolba, and Rabbi Yerucham, Shabbalashan HaKodesh, Yotzei Adim Nechavasai B'Shmiya, Avisheinu Mevilash. So says the Mishnah Berurah, even though we just quoted the Machaber that said you only Yotzei if you understand, the Arshita is that hold your Yotzei when you don't understand. Masha Enkim B'Shar L'Shoines, but other L'Shoines this isn't true. The L'Kuliyama in the Yotzei Meinu Mevilashan, which everyone agrees you're not Yotzei if you don't understand. Chena Minag, and so too is the Minag Shadashan Yotzei Dechayvasan, Bishmiya, that a minhag is, says the Mishnah Berurah, that a woman is Yotzei even though she does not understand. V'afilu Kiddush, even when it comes to Yotzei Kiddush, which is Shu Daraisa L'Kuli Alma L'Anashim. Everyone agrees Kiddush is Daraisa for a woman. Still, Afilu Achi Yotzei is Bishmiya, even though she doesn't necessarily understand. V'chein Amaretz Avisheinu Mevinin Divrei HaMakadesh. Damaretz is Yotzei Kiddush. Mikol Makom, says Mishnah Berurah. Yoiser Toivit, it's better Shemur Achrei HaMavarich LaMekadesh Mila B'Mila B'Lach Hashem Efshalem. It's better to say each and every word. Tibzei Yotzei L'Chol HaPoiskim B'Lav Hachi Nachal Nasas Ken L'Kuli Alma Tiavshel L'Chavin L'Shmaya Heitiv. He can't have kavan and listen properly. Kumur L'Elsim Kuf Gimel Siv Zayin Ein Sham. So says the Mishnah Berurah that the appropriate thing is everyone should bench on themselves. So hopefully we're realizing a chiddush. What's happening over here is that when it comes to Lashon HaKodesh, if you're being Yotzei with someone else, you have to understand the words. But if you say the words yourself, you're Yotzei, even if you don't understand, which of course is the Maila to saying the words yourself. And we continue with some Dirshu. Says the Dirshu. Note number one, that b'diavad b'chsa mazayin, you're Yotzei, you could be Yotzei your friend, but let's say when you're not kavua, says the Shulchan Aruch, b'diavad, if the Mavarich has in mind to be Yotzei you, they have in mind to be Yotzei as well, then you're Yotzei. Mishnah over there explains to the Magen Avraham, he's not sure if you're Yotzei even b'diavad. He brings the goyin that's machriya. Even without a kaviyas, but the is so important that of course we always want that kaviyas, but if one is being mitzvah someone else, Mishnah Berurah is paskening, it would work even without a kaviyas. Ubetam achilek continues in Dirish over here, note number two. What is the difference in Lashon HaKodesh and other Lashonos that we're saying? By Lashon HaKodesh, you're Yotzei even if you do not understand according to Rashi and those other Shitais, but other languages not. Says the Bir Halacha, explains the Bir Halacha and Siman Samach Beis with regarding to Kriyishma. Lashon HaKodesh is a Lashon Misad Atzma, and therefore, even if you do not understand Lashon HaKodesh, you're Yotzei. Whereas when it comes to other Lashonos, they don't have there's no etzem, there's no intrinsic language. It's people got together and decided that this is the way we should talk. And therefore, if you understand how to talk that way, then great. But only if you understand it. However, but if you don't understand it, then it's not considered a language. And therefore, you will not be able to be Yotzei if you don't understand. So the difference is that Lashon HaKodesh is a language intrinsically, and therefore, even without understanding Lashon HaKodesh, one would be able to be Yotzei. But the Mishnah Berurah ended off that what's better is to say Mila b'Mila together with him. And then the Mishnah Berurah said this is why by Kiddush, even though it's a Daraisa, a woman can be Yotzei. Whereas when it comes to Berachas Hamazon, the Shulchan Aruch and Kuf Vav says, some say that women are only Chai Berachas Hamazon midrabanan, and the Mishnah Berurah over there explained that what's the reason that for a woman it would only be a dirabanan, that since it says Ala Aretz HaToiva, and Nasha doesn't have a chelik in Eretz Yisrael Mitzad Atzman, therefore maybe they don't have a chi of daraisa. And some say the reason is because they don't have brisa and Torah, which as well is mentioned in benching. And that's why women don't have the same chiyuv d'araisa. Dershah number 4 continues and says, this is discussing when they don't understand the words of the Mekadesh. However, the Mekadesh understands Kiddush. So those listening don't understand, but he understands, then he can be might see them. But if those who are listening also don't understand, and the Mekadesh also doesn't understand, he thinks he's saying something else, says Yotzei Yotzei Vasam. Excuse me, let me say more. We just pointed out that those listening have to know they're listening to Kiddush. For example, if they don't realize they're listening to Kiddush and the Mekadesh is saying Kiddush, says Rav Shimon, it doesn't work. They have to at least know what they're listening to, even if they don't understand the precise words. And we said this above in Kuf Gimel Shartzia and Mishvichayshish Ladas Machmirin, also by Allah Shanai Kodesh in Yotzei. So of course we should try to understand, and that's the reason why the Mishnah Berurah is saying it's better to say Mila b'Mila, as we pointed out, that if you're saying the words yourself, then you're Yotzei, even if you do not understand. Finally, Ber Halacha, Dershah number 6 points out, brings Rav Akiva Eiger, that even if it's not considered Mekadesh al Yayin unless there's a kais in front of him. That's a different din. That's a din with regard to Kiddush, which Mir Hashem we're going to get to. We're going to stop over here. We'll bring up Sif Aleph so that the next part will discuss the actual dinim of the Zimun.